Thanks for joining us. On behalf of Drum Corps International, I'm Steve Rondinaro. As 2015 comes to an end and 2016 unfolds, we thought this was a good time to reflect on what was and look forward to what's in the future. 2015 also marked Dan Acheson's 20th anniversary as Drum Corps International's CEO and Executive Director. We have a lot to talk about. Dan, welcome.
Thanks, Steve. It's great to be here with you.
Let's start with 2015. What a great year on so many fronts.
A terrific year. It starts with the Corps. The Corps have done an amazing job of establishing themselves as strong organizations that attract record numbers of young people in 2015. There was over 11,000 that tried out for 5,000 spots in drum corps.
Wow.
Then there's 48 corps. So that gives you kind of a pretty good idea of the numbers involved. But the real aspect of this that's something else is the member themselves. You know, over 78% of them have a 3.0 or better grade point average. They're 19 and a half years old. Over 80% of them are involved in music, and that includes color guard members. At some capacity in their schools or in their private lives engaged in music. But they're just terrific, talented, amazing young people that make up these corps. And then, of course, the corps have these designers and instructors that are just, they keep asking these performers to reach new heights. And we've been the benefactors of that from a fan standpoint. As a result of these great productions that we're seeing now, attendance has been terrific.
Yeah, I think some of the shows have definitely evolved toward a more audience-friendly dynamic.
And there's a lot that has taken place under the leadership of Michael Cesario, Artistic Director for Drum Corps International, to lead us in that direction over the last several years. And the corps have responded. And as a result,
so the fans.
The fans have responded, and in record numbers in 2015. I mean, we started with the opening night, as you're well aware, in the theaters, and by far our highest attended preseason or season event for opening season event, with 26,000 people nationwide attending at theaters.
We did that live as opposed to a two-day delay. I think that made a difference. How about you?
Yeah, we think it made a difference as well, and what we heard from fans is they're just so excited to be a part of the live event. It can't all be in one place, so us being able to bring it to them live made all the difference in the world. And then we had the same kind of attendance really by proxy as we relate to it on the internet with our DCI Live subscription service. A lot of people participated in that and enjoyed a record number of events that we presented live over the course of the season. But the real attendance story is those that came to the stadium. I mean, in Stanford, and the Rose Bowl last year, very excited about the first time the Pacific Crest organization hosted their event in the Rose Bowl, and over 6,000 people showed up. What a great, great night that was for them and for the activity to be back in the Rose Bowl. But then take that into the season, DCI Minnesota was a hit once again at TCF Bank Stadium. But then we went to Texas. Every event in Texas saw a record number in attendance. It was a fantastic tour through Texas. And San Antonio, of course, being the anchor event, as we refer to it, seeing the highest number we've seen in about 6 or 7 years. The tour then goes to the Southeast, Murfreesboro, Tennessee, beyond capacity. Well over 10,000 people paid for a ticket to attend that event. And then the next night, many of those folks and more made up 18,000 people in the Georgia Dome. We've never seen a number like that. Our highest number prior to that was a little over 16,000. Just a huge response to what's going on. And then the Carolina Crown put on an event that you're familiar with in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. They're a little nervous that, it's the first time they had to move the event for venue reasons and so forth. A record attendance for them as well.
We walk it from Carolina, now we're hitting the stretch run to championships, and the ball continued to roll.
Yeah, and my favorite thing to do all year is to be a spectator at the open class finals in Michigan City. I very politely ask a couple of judges to spread out just a little bit more so I can be right on the 50-yard line in the press box my own little self-indulgence of the drum corps experience. And from the beginning of the night to the end of the night, I'm just blown away. I'm blown away by what these performers bring in that very intimate setting of that stadium at Ames Field. And as we've reported before, there's over 10 new groups as a part of the open class over the last few years as well. So we're seeing a little bit of growing occurring.
So the season's on a great roll right on into the World Class Championships in Indy.
Yeah, we started with a grand announcement that we're going to stay in Indianapolis through 2028 with the World Championships. We had the mayor, the president of the Visit Indy Convention and Visitors Association. The press was all there, capturing the moment, but just kicked it off. And there's not too many times that I look like I know what I'm doing. And here we were, record attendance in Indianapolis followed that announcement on Thursday, then again on Friday at semifinals, and then again on Saturday night. We had our second largest attendance, paid attendance, in 20 years on Saturday night in Indianapolis. It was 22,000 plus paid. It was an absolutely amazing vision to see come together after all these years and having decided to be in Indianapolis.
Great vibe in the stadium. Of course, then you also had your online audience and the theater audience that week.
Yeah, the theater audience was over 45,000. Again, a very consistent, solid audience nationwide that got to be a part of the World Championships. And not everybody can because, you know, it's a lot to be there. But yet, you know, they can go in their neighborhood theaters and witness this great event on Thursday night. And then Saturday night with the internet broadcast, we had a record number tune in for that. So yeah, a lot of people engaged in the World Championship finals this year. Absolutely.
Well, you talk about logistics. We're spreading out around the city now with drumline battle over on this block, sound sport over on this block. You've got the I&E going on. We're really part of the fabric of downtown.
Yeah, one of the great events each year, of course, is the DCI Performer Showcase presented by System Blue, which is I&E, individual and ensemble competition. It's grown in the last couple of years since System Blue got involved, and we're very grateful for that because it's just one of those great events, not only for the participants, but for the city. We see a swell with the restaurant owners at a lunchtime that they're not used to, and they, of course, appreciate that and are even that much more welcoming to the event. And then carry that all the way down into the events in and around finals. We have the Impact Band, a middle school band, swelled to 369 members this year from 180 the previous year. Middle school students that are recommended by their instructors, teachers, music educators to come together and in a 2-day experience have education programs and a performance experience at finals. And then of course Saturday we have sound sport and drumline battle. The drumline battle's become a huge hit, not only for those that get to participate, but for those that get to spectate. When you look at Georgia Street and you look at rows and rows of people in the parking garage looking down on the drumline battle, it's pretty exciting. But as you know, sound sport is another treat that's starting to come about with, we tripled, I believe, the participation last year with groups. I believe it was like 18 groups that participated. International groups coming over and being a part of this as well. We've actually seen a couple of those groups start and then become open class corps. The Guardians are an example of that. The Southwind has emerged out of the sound sport program as well, just to name a couple. So that is a great program that's starting to really take hold nationwide as well as worldwide.
So what do you say we wrestle with the 800-pound gorilla in the room now, and the thing that's probably cost you some of your hair, I'm guessing, music licensing. It's incredibly complex.
Absolutely complex. There's so much to it. You know, the drum corps activity is fortunate to have so many creative music and music education professionals engaged, and thus we take very seriously our obligations to make sure that we're in full compliance. And we've worked very hard and diligently and procedurally to put all those things in place. We have absolute respect for the original composer or copyright holder in all of that we do.
And I still don't have my Blu-rays in time for Christmas.
Well, therein lies the challenge.
Yes.
So here's the thing. In the last 18 months, we've learned that all of our diligence still falls short. We have more to do. We have more work to do to make sure that we're in full compliance. And we have engaged professionals, legal and copyright experts, to help us navigate that. But one of the things that we have to recognize is we don't just stage events, we stage music events. So we're in the music business. We need to be very, very in tune with the changes. And there are changes. There are some things that are the same that we just need to do better, but there are changes. The internet is the wild, wild west.
Right.
And the music industry, all you have to do is look at any music magazine and you'll see that there's something in there about what's going on with an artist and copyright law and being paid and those types of things. It's changing all the time because media is being delivered a lot differently than it was in 1976 when the Copyright Act was put into place. So we have to adjust to that. And that's the point, is we have to get better at taking care of that business. And that's what we're trying to do right now. We're trying to make sure that we have new protocols in place. We launched an audit of all of our internal procedures. We put in some new protocols. We have a long way to go, though, to make sure that we have everything in place that we have to.
You thought, though, in good conscience, you were dotting your I's and crossing your T's.
The corps themselves, Drum Corps International, and the people we work with all were under the understanding that everything we were doing along the way was the right thing to do. And in fact, we've spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on royalties paid for products sold and those types of things. There's details that get into timing and those kinds of matters related to compliance for various licenses and so forth. And then there's details related to interactive streaming that have changed. The rules have changed in the past few years that we have to adapt to. So yeah, there's a lot to this that we thought we're rolling along, but then again, yeah, we need to take a harder look at this on an ongoing basis, not just on a once in a while basis, like any good business would.
I want to walk you through the process, but first I want to get to the burning question out there in the drum corps public. What's happening with the CDs and the Blu-rays for 2015?
The CDs have been released. They're out there now. So you can find the CDs. It's the top 25, meaning the semifinalists from the 2015 World Championships. And then the DVDs, any day now, is really where we're at. And it's the process that has got us into this situation. We're looking for a couple of more licenses, a couple of more titles to be licensed.
Now, particular tunes within a core show.
Exactly. And it always comes down to that. It's just, it took a little bit longer this round because we're making sure that absolutely everything is in place before we release that, so that royalties are paid, all the permissions are correct, and there's no question that when we release this product, everybody who's engaged at whatever level of permissions, of royalties, and everything else is being taken care of.
And if I understand this right, if you don't do that, the organization and the corps face a risk of a huge financial liability that could put us out of business. Is that overstating it, or is that?
You are not overstating it at all. I mean, we're in an environment where there's a lot of sensitivity, even for what we would consider to be educational groups. There's a lot of myths out there about, well, it's education, so therefore they don't have to get licenses. No, because the way the publishers look at it and the copyright holders is it's a business, it's a commercial enterprise. We can say nonprofit all we want. The bottom line is somebody's making money, therefore money needs to be shared with those that are entitled to it. And we're so incredibly grateful that there's all this music in our world that many of the copyright holders, composers, original composers, and publishers allow us to use. And they cooperate with us to the best they can. Keep in mind, in the publishing world, we're just a microcosm of their business.
Okay, so we get the Blu-rays out in an ideal world. What about the fan network? What's the future of the fan network and the online piece of this moving forward?
Well, we're going to continue to offer DCI Live. 2016 for sure, DCI Live, everything's in place to make that happen. The dates, the major events that we cover, it's a great opportunity for people to be engaged when they otherwise couldn't be at the event physically. But the interactive streaming, the on-demand component, is the component that is very complex and expensive for us to consider at this time. And we're looking at it, we're trying to find mechanisms that are out there that we might be able to use, or creating our own. The short term is not going to be offered. The long term, of course, we hope to do that. And that's something that, I hope people understand is that we want to offer these things to the general public. DCI is very committed to offering as much media as we possibly can for fans to enjoy. It's an important fundraiser for the Corps. We have to find a way to make this work, but we can't do it unless it's absolutely in full compliance with copyright law.
So this must take a huge piece of your time in your job, just managing this issue.
Well, it's a lot to manage, no doubt. And recently, yes, it's taken a lot of time. But it's like anything else that we've encountered in my 20 years that, well, this is something that's risen to the top, that we need to make sure that we have everything in place, and then put procedures and protocols in place that ongoing we're always going to be in compliance. And then it will take less of my time, of course, once those are all put into place. But yeah, we're in the music business, and that's a very real thing here that we need to be responsible to.
Well, we've established you're on top of that challenge. Let's look at a wider view of 2016. What are some of the exciting things that you see on the horizon?
Well, everybody, the Corps, of course, are in full camp mode, audition mode at this point in the year, and heading into the winter and spring. The Drum Corps International staff pretty much doing the same thing. We're not auditioning, but what we are doing is getting the venues put together, establishing where the stages are going to be that these corps are going to travel to. The tour has been announced. Very excited about some of the announcements on that tour, especially the part about returning to Florida. We've been to Florida, of course, in my 20 years. We've been there with 4 world championships. We've also been there with one-night events in Orlando, but we haven't been on tour in Florida. We're planning 3 stops in Florida: Jacksonville, Lakeland, and then South Florida. And we couldn't be more excited about being able to penetrate into a state that is our 3rd largest state producer of drum corps members in the world class. It's also the 3rd largest state in terms of people that come to the theaters to watch these events. So needless to say, they're very excited about drum corps in Florida. We're excited to be bringing it to them in 2016.
All right, so we're going to the Deep South. It's always fun to see who's going to go out to California. And it's a big act this year.
Yeah, the Madison Scouts are headed out there, and they're excited to be able to make the trip. But I can tell you the Californians are very excited to have them be a part of that. And again, we're going to be in the Rose Bowl with the Pacific Crest's Night of the Crest event, and then we have the Stanford show, what we refer to as DCI West, put on by the Blue Devils and the Santa Clara Vanguard. So very exciting events out there. And then the Northwest is going to have the Santa Clara Vanguard visit, which is very exciting for them because it's a tough place to get to. As tough as it is to get to South Florida, it is for these corps to get to the Northwest. But we're excited to say that the Santa Clara Vanguard are going to be there. And we have the Phantom Regiment in the Midwest, but they're going to head east for a little bit before they come back and celebrate their 60th anniversary.
Phantom 60th, but we also have one of our most storied venues having an anniversary, right?
Yeah, DCI East, Allentown, Pennsylvania. What 40 years, 39 years ago, I was a participant.
I think I set foot on the old J. Bernie Crum turf as well.
Oh, absolutely. What a great event it's been over the years for the corps and for the fans, and it continues. I mean, the celebrations that happen on their own in the park is pretty spectacular, and I'm so happy that they come and enjoy themselves as they do over that 2-day period. That's where the real avid drum corps fan likes to come and enjoy drum corps in its most pure form.
Yeah, get it in your face in the great outdoors.
Most definitely.
Championship week in Indy, lots going on as usual.
Lots going on. More in terms of the Sound Sport event is actually going to move indoors. There's a venue right next to the plaza where it's going to go indoors to make room for more drumline battle on the plaza, because we have so much participation. I'm happy to report that we have to have events operating simultaneously. A lot of excitement, a lot of choices that fans are going to have to make, what they're going to want to experience in that very condensed area of the town.
In Sound Sport, there's a potential for more seating and a better venue.
More seating, yes. A little bit more production opportunities perhaps, with some video and that type of thing too in and around that event, to make the stage even more special for those performers.
That's pretty exciting.
Very excited about what's coming forward.
2016 sounds like a lot of fun. What about an even longer view?
Well, I guess we start with #GrowDrumCorps. The whole intent of the programs that we've had in place currently the last few years, with Sound Sport, Drumline Battle, more open class groups, solidifying the the world class groups along the way, just keep getting more people engaged in what we do. A lot of people ask me, well, what's the, do you want 150 drum corps? Do you want 400 drum corps? I don't put numbers on it. I want as many as we can accommodate. And I think there's no limit to what we can accommodate if we have that many people that want to engage. So there's no limit, there's nothing stopping us, because we have been through regulations. We've been through unfortunate world events, and we've still been able to maintain the activity strong and moving forward. I want to make sure that in our succession planning, the same thing occurs going forward. Bigger productions, bigger groups participating. The sky's the limit, I guess, and from the creative standpoint, most certainly, from the proficiency standpoint, but also from a creative way to manage the activity in a manner that more can participate, more groups. Let's get 100 groups to show up for Sound Sport in Indianapolis one day. Let's get 100 to show up in Lithuania or in Taiwan one day. Let's see if we can get to that point. Those are going to spawn even more groups. We mentioned 11,000 young people tried out for 5,000 positions in 2015. Let's find a place for the remainder of those that did not get into a corps in 2015.
Your enthusiasm has not diminished in 20 years.
And I hope I have a few good ones left to keep this going. It's so exciting to work with these people that I get the opportunity, and I'm so blessed and honored to work with. And all along this journey, I've just been amazed at the effort from the mom that sits there and sews away at those uniforms to make those kids look good, to the dad that pushes the equipment out onto the field, and not only our drum corps, but many marching bands and indoor groups along the way. It's just amazing to the talent that we have, the judges, and the how smart these people are that are engaged in this thing we do. We're so blessed. Why couldn't we possibly expect that 100 years from now this activity is still flourishing when so many other activities have come and gone?
Dan, thanks for spending time on this and going into detail on some subjects that I know aren't the most pleasant, but I may be the DCI broadcaster, but I'm a fan at heart, and knowing the inner workings certainly helps me understand better what y'all are up against. So thanks a lot, and it sounds like we got a bright future.
Well, thanks, Steve. Thanks for hosting this event at French Lick Resorts. This is a beautiful venue, and I've enjoyed the opportunity to share with fans what's going on in our activity, and hopefully we can continue this forward.